All right, ladies and gentlemen, I got your watch list coming into July 15th, 2019. Earnings season is officially kicking off. So we have a lot of the plays to talk about. We have a lot of even plays from last week with the Facebook, and to briefly discuss what's reporting and then kind of the keys for tomorrow and just getting situated into how we're going to play this. There wasn't any crazy developments over the weekend, and even coming into last week, it was kind of this wait-and-see game. People were interpreting the Fed, and, we are still at all-time highs, and this whole melt-up and how that proceeds from here is going to be very interesting. So we're going to talk about that, but let us get into the keys for the day. But before I do that, you know what you guys need to do out of everything. Post your watch list below. Let me see what stocks you guys are watching. We're here to source information. If you guys find this video helpful, drop your thumbs up and make sure you are live. We are live 30 minutes before open, Monday through Friday. I think I said the brainwash backwards, but you guys get the idea. It's pinned in the comments, first link in the description. But let us discuss the keys for tomorrow. So here's the earnings calendar, and I think we're going to cover the specific earnings plays more into tomorrow's watch list after we kind of see how this Monday kicks off. So we're not going to get too jumpy with that. However, earningswhisper.com is a good thing. You could even check earnings through TOS, Thinkorswim, Tastyworks, E-Trade. Every single platform usually has a way for you to see the earnings. So keep that in mind, but also understand how there's waves. And, really what we're going to be seeing here that starts off this week, it's going to be bank companies and healthcare. So you could see the kind of companies and what we could expect from there. But to the keys for tomorrow, we are rounding the corner. Today, right now, is the 14th. Tomorrow's the 15th. We're literally pretty much halfway through directly the month. And it kind of makes sense. We've had 2 weeks of preparing for earnings in the Fed, and now it's really right around the corner. It's not around the corner. I think it's just a straight shot. We're going to see now how the banks report their earnings is going to set up a lot of stuff. But at the same time, we need to decide too, or how are we going to set up for the Fed decision on the 31st? We've been talking a lot about, Jerome Powell this, Jerome Powell that. Well, that live meeting happens on July 31st. So whatever happens then is the final decision. You will see the markets react, but even more importantly, what even happens before then is going to have a very good opportunity or a chance of dictating what we see and how the markets react. So that's going to be important, but that is going to be the fork in the road, and this is what you guys are going to have to decide with your plays. Do you play the earnings? Do you play the Fed? Which way is it going to go, and which one's going to take more weight and all that, and this is where it really becomes confusing, I would say, more or less for a lot of people, because depending on how the situation develops, it could do so in many different ways. So I'm excited, though. You guys, as long as you guys are here, we'll be able to go through all that together. And pretty much the last key for this week and for tomorrow, and even to summarize this whole thing, I know it's going to sound like I'm advertising the stream alerts, but what I'm talking about is time on your contracts. But this is why we've called the stream alerts stream insurance. And I've always said it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. And, well, last week was a very good example of that. But with you guys in time, if you have now the Fed at the end of the month, we know that's a catalyst. We know there's earnings catalyst coming up. You could make plays for next week. We did very, very good on some of those weeklies last week. We have some of those Facebook weeklies, but at the end of the day, it's better to get the time and have the time because you don't know when these stocks or anything is going to pop off. But if you have time and it goes in your favor and, everything works, awesome. The worst case scenario, you probably made a little less money. Who cares? But if you go and get a play for a weekly and then it pops up, but you're only 1 week out and it pops 2 weeks from now, then that's going to be a real bummer. But again, try to stretch your dollar, especially if you have a smaller account. So that's pretty much it. Let us get into the plays now. So right off the bat, I know a lot of you guys are going to ask about this, and you better post your watch list too, but Facebook, we killed that on Friday. It was awesome, but let me give you the piece of news. I think maybe this is my tinfoil theory. I think everybody made so much money on it. Literally, I think it was the day after or later that day, Democrats even came out, or like someone on the Democrat side, but a few Democratic lawmakers, they came out and they said that they wanted to push for even more fines because they thought $5 billion wasn't enough. And I think either they were watching the stream and they heard me say that, or they're seeing how investors reacted, because realistically, some people are like, oh, it's negative news, it's negative news. No, it's very positive news, because people were expecting a lot more than a $5 billion fine. It was already priced in their earnings. They were going to lose, I think, $7 to $9 billion, if not more. And then this is where it gets a little, more trickery because it was a settlement. So being a settlement, I don't know if they had to even plead guilty or not, but usually when there's a settlement, there's an agreement that you cannot pursue legal action against that party in a certain period of time, or if not ever related to that issue. So that's the news behind it that drove this stock up, and this is why we decided to buy it. But now some of you guys are in those plays that we got the 210s and the 220s. I put it in that video yesterday. I encourage all of you guys to watch that, how to maximize your contract value and sell and get the most money for contracts. But I think I'm going to try to sell the one in the money with the most value and then hold the 220s, because a lot could happen with this play. It's one, the market is going to factor in what it means for just the news itself. But now Facebook earnings is next week. So unfortunately, though, our play only covers out to next week, but their earnings is in 2 weeks from now. Nonetheless, that's going to be a good play to watch. I think this is going to be a very important one all week, honestly, and I'm excited to see now, because Facebook has been kind of slow, value stock-ish. I don't know how to even say it like that, but it's been good. But now once it gets some steam, it could go good. So watch that. But now what I'm going to watch for the rest of the whole week with all these plays is every single play we cashed out on. You guys remember Facebook, Boeing, UNH, HD, NVIDIA, and FedEx, except for everyone but FedEx, though. I passed up on that, but all these other plays, we literally made over 1,000% on each play last week. So I want to keep watching them, because now there's going to be a whole new set of weeklies on them, or even the 2 weeks out. It all depends when they report, and this is why I kind of like the weeklies on them too. But again, think about what I said. It's better to have the time and not need it. So you guys could even see how we played the Facebook. I got close to the money and further away out the money. You could get contracts with a little bit amount of time and some with a lot amount of time. But usually when they're not reporting or the week, if they have earnings in a few weeks, the weeks prior are cheap. But again, it all depends on the underlying moves. But we know all of these plays are in play and they could do stuff. So even Boeing, critical level here, even at 365, I wish it hit that during the market hours. But being where it's at, every single one of these companies now, some of them are higher than others. Some are lagging, and if getting energy movement, they could do really good. So watch them. Watch Facebook. Watch Boeing. I'm going to be watching Boeing for maybe one more pop, and then potentially for it to come down, or even my buy belief on general, it might just go straight up. And then I think after earnings will be the opportunity for the stock to dump. Next is going to be UNH too. Again, they're running off of the same news that Cigna had and everything with the White House. But the biggest difference with these guys, they have earnings on Thursday. So keep your eye out for that. And I like where they're at and what they're doing in general. I think it's going to be good. But we have to make sure, because sometimes it pops like these. You don't want it to start consolidating. You want there to be, and this is what we need for a lot of stocks all across the board. We need velocity, energy, all that. So there's that. Next is going to be Home Depot. And this one went way higher than I expected. But now we saw what happened last time Walmart did that. It's either going to consolidate or it's going to go crazy and going to go past the 220. And man, isn't that crazy, man? We bought 212s yesterday. Or not yesterday, on Monday for what? For 20 cents? Those would have closed at least $6 in the money. Oh man, I don't want to talk about it. But you know what? We still made a good amount of money on it. But even then, as you see, all of these plays, we've already profited off of them. We know how they are. I mean, they're going to be good ones to look at. Next one's going to be NVIDIA too. And even in general, you could look at the other chip makers in relation to it. But I like that one a lot. And then lastly, this is the one we didn't play, but it did good. And again, if it does start to get some gas and there is a recovery here in those transports, FedEx is going to be a good one. And it's one where the pricing can change very quickly. So just watch out for that in general. The next chart, this is both going to be important as individual plays as well as even the sector as a whole. And watch these, because I think, honestly, if you think about it, the week prior, this last week, this was their pregame. It was banks and energy really held the markets up. And at the same time now, banks have exposure to what's happening with the Fed. So watch them. These are most of the banks. I wouldn't say that it's all of the banks, because at the same time, there's so many regional banks, this and that. But there is, these are the main ones. And again, out of all of them, GS, Goldman Sachs, and JP Morgan, these are going to be the bigger movers, the bigger share prices, the ones that could move a lot more. And then you're going to get your Wells Fargo, Bank of America, and Citi. And then there's also stuff like HSBC that has exposure to China and stuff like that. And then there's also going to be, our favorite, Deutsche. And I'd watch that too. Again, and we want to see even how this situation develops. But these are all of the banks. Keep an eye out for them. Let me know too, even in the watch list below, what are you guys looking at for banks and which ones stand out? People ask me a lot, do I play these for earnings? I usually don't. If you've ever read a bank filing and how they report their earnings and whatnot, I think it's very difficult. It's very convoluted. And again, banks are there to make money, and they already make money. It's not like it's a growth stock or, they're not going to come out with some product you've never heard about. It's pretty much most of it's expected. If anything, it's just kind of the margins and how they're going to do it. But what I do recommend is post earnings, And again, this is what's going to be important about this week. There will be companies, even Johnson & Johnson is this week. And, I forgot to even say, that's going to be a play to watch because of their, there's a lot of plays last week. They got a criminal probe. Again, another asbestos talc thing. I have the puts on it that come out to this week. I believe I have a small one, but I want to see how this situation develops, and don't forget about that. And I forgot there was another company we played that happened over the weekend as well, too. Or on Friday, there was a few of these. What company was that? There was Johnson & Johnson and something else. Somebody you guys could put it there. But again, these are Johnson & Johnson reports, but coming back to it, these companies are going to tell us, all the companies this week are going to give us insight into what's going on with the economy, as well as now how investors are going to take some of these earnings at a smaller degree, though, because these are different types of stocks and investors invest in these companies for different reason. However, it will give us an idea of what we're supposed to expect for this earnings. So I'm excited. It's going to be a lot of data, and I hope you guys are too. Let's go, baby. Get hyped. All right, but next thing, I'm going to have Amazon. I like them as well. Amazon, Netflix, Roku, and Zoom. These are going to be kind of the growth stocks. I want to even add Disney to that list. And again, we're still trying to hunt for the right Disney play. I made the August ones, that other butterfly, but this was going to be a good frog. It just, again, you could kind of notice what happened here in this melt up, new all-time highs, and a lot of stocks honestly went up with it. Even Deutsche got up to the highs, but you could look at various different stocks on Friday and how they moved and everything towards the end of close. But Disney's operating in a little weird way, and I think it's just investors waiting for it, but I like it. Amazon's going to be good. Prime Day starts, I believe, today, right? I think today or tomorrow or the next few days. So now we're going to have that, but I usually think after we get some of the data, I think Prime Day could maybe sell off, but watch out for it because Amazon, again, you could kind of see like Disney, it did its own thing. It stayed up there, but that's also because it ran up a lot in the weeks leading up to it. So I think that's going to be very important, and watching Amazon even as a bellwether for tech is going to give us a lot of insight and feed us more and more info on what's going on here with tech. And given the stock price, the volatility and everything, don't sleep on this. Some of you guys could actually play Amazon for less than $100 on some of these plays. We just got to wait for the opportunity to open itself up for us. Then there's going to be Roku and Zoom. I like Zoom the best out of that, but Roku is even at a key level. And then Netflix too, even with the news and all that. And again, we're already looking at Facebook. I guess we could maybe throw Google in to make it FANG, but at the same time, some of these stocks are kind of in more precarious and better positions that are going to cause more movement. So I'm going to leave it there, you guys. Let me know what you guys are thinking for tomorrow. Make sure you guys are live and you post your watch list. Let's go!